This is lesson 105. It's on advanced factoring. I'm going to remind us what we have done thus far. So if we've had an equation such as this, we have looked at factors of -6, the C value, such that we add them and get the B value, all right? And that would be x plus 3, positive 2, and positive 3, and -2, right? X minus 2. We've also used the quadratic formula in solving for B. We've also used completing the square. Today, we're going to have lead coefficients. There's going to be some value other than a 1 as a coefficient for your highest, for your x squared term. All right? Now, in Algebra 1, when I taught you, we used the box method. I'm actually going to give you 2 other methods today. All right? So, the first thing in lesson 105 is to write the equation in descending exponential order. It has to be in standard form. So 105.1 is 6x squared plus x minus 2. All right? So this first part applies for both methods of factoring. Our A value is 6. Our B value is 1. Our C value is -2. So we want to begin by thinking about what are factors of A times C, which is -12, right? 6 times -2, such that we add them together and we get the B value, which is 1. All right? Factors of the A times C, such that we add them together and get the B value. All right? So, -12, factors of it would be 4 times 3, and then I have to think which term needed to be negative, and the 3 needs to be negative. All right? So first I'm going to work it like your textbook does. And for this positive x, I'm going to make 1x equal to 4x minus 3x. That equals 1, right? And then I will add the other terms in, the first term, the last term. So I rewrite this equation as 6x squared plus 4x minus 3x minus 2. All right? So this one is trial and error, because these terms can be this way, or we can write the -3x first and then do the factoring. All right? And I want to look at, I'm going to group the terms and see what I can factor out. Well, I can factor out a 2x here. I can't factor anything out. That doesn't mean it doesn't work. But when I factor something out, whatever's left in the parentheses must be the same exact value. All right? So here I can factor out 2x, and I'm left with x plus 2. Here I'm just going to factor out a -1, and I'm left with 3x plus 2. What is left in the parentheses is not the same, so I need to swap them and then regroup the terms. All right, so I did that. When looking at this these first two terms, I can factor out a 3x, and I'm left with x minus 1, 2x minus 1. All right. Here I can factor out a 2, and I'm left with 2x minus 1. All right, look, what I have in these parentheses is the exact same value. That's where you want to get. And so my factors are, I take what's outside of the parentheses, 3x plus 2. Really, I'm I'm factoring out the 2x plus 1, and then it's time what's in the parentheses, and that's my factors. Okay? Now the other method, going back here. If I look at the two values that I need to add to get to the b value, notice this first coefficient is a 6. And if I write under them the lead coefficient with an x, lead coefficient with an x, all right, then I simplify the terms. So 4 and 6 I'm going to simplify. So they're both divisible by 2, right? That's 3 and that's 2. 3 goes into both of these. 3 goes into 6 twice, into 3 1. Now look what I do. I go 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2, times, the sign goes with it, 2x, and that's minus 1. All right? This is not trial and error. This works every time. All right? We're going to work all of them both ways. Grouping. You need to understand grouping, factoring by grouping. But this is sort of a secret, just another method, because we're already simplifying it and writing it under the right term. All right, let's look at 105.2. All right, 105.2 is, I'm working both ways, 2x squared minus 7x minus 15. All right, so I'm looking for factors of a times c, which is negative 30, 2 times negative 15, such that I add them and it equals the b value, negative 7. All right, I can already see that it's going to be a 10 times 3 because that difference is 7. All right, so it's going to be 10 and 3, and my negative is going to be the 10 because negative 10 plus 3 is negative 7. All right, now I'm going to try to do this more logically when I match them up. 2x squared and negative 15. All right, the 3 seems like 10 has common factors with 15 and 2. All right, so I really can't tell which term it needs to be next to, but the 3 only has factors with the 15. So I'm going to write the 3 by the 15 and the 10 by the 2 and group them. All right, so you can, when you're writing these down, you can logically put them together. And what can I factor out of here? I can factor out a 2x. I'm left with x minus 5. Here I can factor out a 3. I'm left with x minus 5. What's on the outside is one of your terms. What's common to both terms is multiplied by it. Again, I could do the same over here. The lead coefficient 2 and an x, the lead coefficient 2 and an x. I simplify. 2 goes into 2, 1, into 10, 5. This is x minus 5. We're going down, up, times 2x plus 3. All right? Now, let's look at the last example. And it is, the last example is not written in proper form. It's negative 5x minus 6 equals negative 6x squared. It's not written in standard form, so I'm going to write it in proper form by adding the 6x squared to both sides. I have 6x squared minus 5x minus 6 equals 0. All right? I began with factors of the a value times the c. That's 6 times negative 6, which is negative 36, such that I add them together to equal the b value, negative 5. And 9 and 4 seem to work because there's 5 between them. And what needs to be negative? The 9 needs to be negative. All right? So, this really is going to be trial and error. Because 9 and 6 are together and both, okay, so I'm just going to put the 9 first. So this 5x, 6x squared, I'm going to write as negative 9x plus 4x. You're understanding that the net effect of this is nothing because it is negative 5x minus 6. I'll group them. In the first term, I can factor out a 3x, and I'm left with 2x minus 3. In the second one, I can factor out a 2, I'm left with 2x minus 3, the same. So what's on the outside is one term, and my common term is what's left when I factored out. Again, I can do the same thing over here. Oops, I'll write this in blue. So, not that blue, that's not dark enough. I'll write the lead coefficient 6 with an x over both of them, and then I simplify. 3 goes into both of those, 2 and 3. 2 goes into both of these, 3 and 2. So my factors are 2x minus 3, remember we're going down up, times 3x plus 2, right? You get the same solution as if you worked it with regrouping or the box method.